All right. Welcome to On The Sideline. I'm your host, Jeff Holden. Today we got Big O, your favorite guy, Coach Evan Hearn, and our special guest from Jacksboro, head coach and athletic director, Coach Casey Hubble. Appreciate you coming in, Coach.
Thanks for
it's
having
Casey,
me.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Casey.
I almost
That's what my mama
messed that
calls
up.
me.
Okay, well, we'll call you Coach Hubble. All right, so just real quick, go ahead, let us know who you are, what you're about for those who may not know who you are.
Yeah, Casey Hubble. About to start my 28th year of coaching. Been at Jacksboro. This will be my 4th year there. I actually was there my first year coaching in 1998, 7th grade head football coach. I don't know if y'all heard about it. We went undefeated there.
There you go. Hey.
The only undefeated class.
I was working for my high school coaches, and one of them said, "Good job, Hubble. You'll never do it again."
You got close.
So far, he's right. I haven't been able to do it again. But, from Jacksboro, grew up there, married to my wife, Cheryl. We have twin boys that just graduated high school. So, we'll be empty nesters, and just always been a coach and love what I do. Get to work with young people, and we use athletics. For me personally, it's football, but I get to use football to teach boys how to be men, and that's kind of how I look at my job, and love the opportunity to use it as a tool to develop the type of men that this world needs. And blessed to be at a great school. We've got a great administration, great community, tons of support, and been able to have a little bit of success here the past few years, and just hope we can keep it going. Once you do it, you just want to keep doing it. So
yeah,
that's the goal.
Before we get into the football thing, I couldn't wait for Coach Hubble to get here, but just because I always get his name wrong. Your one son that does the shot put, what's his name? Jackson. That is still the coolest thing that I've ever experienced watching. Not just him throwing the shot put, but them getting it put together for him to throw the shot put. It's like a whole team of people it's like building something. And he was able to get it done this year. He won state.
Yes, sir.
State champ.
I've been, I've kind of been tracking. Last year was my first time ever seeing that done. I think it was a unique thing for him to be able to do, but just watching him progress every year. And then I remember I saw him out in Owl Park. He was getting ready. I was like, "You gonna win it all this year?" He was like, "Yep, this is my year." I was like, he was confident. He was ready. I was like, I can't wait to watch. And he was able to get it done. So shout out to Jackson for getting state done. I know this is about Coach Hubble and Jacksboro football, but I had to shamelessly plug you in there, brother.
Yeah, he did good. That was pretty awesome.
Yes, sir.
It was exciting, he got beat at the regional track meet actually, and so really, really proud of him and his ability to come back and threw his best, and was able to get it done, and had gotten close. Last year he got beat by a half inch, so that one was pretty hard.
Yeah, I bet.
But really, really proud of him. He's he met his goal.
Good for him. State champ. We love state champions. It's a select few, as Coach O over here will let everybody know.
Yeah,
later.
They're not a part of that community.
That's all right. Okay, so we're here. As you know, this is your second year. You came last year. This is our second year of the 940 football preview that we're putting together. We want to thank you for taking your time out and coming here. It's an hour drive, so that's one of the longest drives that actually.
I'm a winner.
We appreciate you. Yes. Last year was awesome. Your interview was awesome, so we're expecting the same thing this year. And yeah, we know football's king in the state of Texas. We got more coaches coming out this year than last year, so we're getting started a little early. And I guess we'll just jump right into it. We're a big fan of you. I know that, you've always been a good person on the sidelines. You always talk to us when we're there and everything else. So we're a big fan of you, and we thank you again for coming. What was your season?
All the coverage y'all give our kids. It's awesome.
Yeah, so what was your season last year? We know, but for the listeners, what was your season like last year? How was the playoffs? And then, I guess we'll start with that.
Yes, it was a good season. It wasn't quite as good as the year we had before, but that's You don't get to have those all the time. But it was still a really successful season. We went 9-4, got beat in the third round of the playoffs. So anytime you know, I've always looked at seasons, you know, like some people can schedule to where you can win games.
Yeah.
But to me, it's really about gold balls. It's about winning into the playoffs and extending your season. So I was really proud of our program to be able to do that and get two playoff wins. At some point, somebody's going to have to beat Gunner. You know, I just assume it'd be us, but you know, that's the third year in a row that we've been knocked out by them. We got knocked out in the second round, fourth round, and now the third round. So, you know, what a great job those guys do there. But yeah, it was a good year. We played some really good people. I feel like, you know, we got better for most of the year. I don't know that, you know, late in the year we had some injuries. We weren't completely healthy late in the year like I think you need to be at your best. But, you know, that's the game. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to deal with that, and that's why, you know, depth is so important. That's why every kid in your program is important. You know, I think we live in a world where, you know, if kids aren't the starter or they don't think they're the dude, you know, they want to go do something else. And, you know, you're one play away from being the guy. And, you know, keeping kids around is huge because it takes a lot of kids to make it through a football season. Mm-hmm. But it was a good season. You know, beat some teams that I thought were really good football teams. And, you know, got beat by some good football teams as well. We finished third in the district. I think that's a testament to how good our district is. You know, not just football, but you look at our basketball district, you know, really good. Our baseball district, you know, they're playing, you know, 3 teams playing into round 4. And I just think it's a very competitive district in all the sports. And you need to be on whenever you get to those district games because, you know, district seeding is huge and how you get into the playoffs and what seed you are. So, yeah.
So real quick, sorry. You mentioned the seeding, and it was a big change this year with the big school, small school. You guys went big, right?
No, it's already been divided for us.
For football, it is.
For
in
football.
3A, yeah, there's Division I and Division II when you
Oh,
start.
I guess I didn't realize
It's
that.
only divided into spring sports.
Yeah.
So
okay.
football, only classification that's not divided in football is 6A. 6A, they play. They divide them once they get to playoffs. Then they go big and small. But 5A down all the way down to 2A, it's already. That's why you have small and big school.
Yeah.
D1,
Okay.
D2.
So I got that mixed up. But anyways.
So I guess my question is, while we're still on last year's, so let's talk a little bit about some of your key players that you're losing from last year's football season.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so this is something I hope every year we have to go through. You know, how are we going to replace these guys? Mm-hmm. I think that's a testament to your community and the type of kids you have. But, yeah, we're losing some really, really good football players that have been playing varsity football for a long time. And you know, we've got 3 kids that are going on to play at the next level. So, you know, losing Cannon Valenzuela, you know, he was a good football player for us. Type of guy you want on defense that roams and was, you know, a big hitter for us. And then at receiver, you know, did a great job of just being a mismatch for a lot of people. He's going on to Colorado State, so looking forward to what he can do. He's already out there and practicing, and you know, looking forward to him. Luke Sams going to play at Trinity, play running back. You know, also a really, really good linebacker for us, as well as a running back. Wade Treadway, you know, offensive lineman that you know was a all-state player for us, and just a you know a nasty, good, physical offensive defensive lineman for us. Gannon McElroy. Middle linebacker for us that's going to play at Colorado Pueblo State. So, you know, or Colorado State Pueblo. He did a great job. Eric Pizzana at receiver and defensive back. And then Garrett Hubble also playing corner for us. And, yeah, We're losing lots of good players.
So all of those guys are, coach call them good football players. Most people in the coaching world are going to call them dudes, because those are dudes. All of those guys are great football players. A little bit about him. Luke is a kid that, for me, if you don't ever see him in person, you don't realize this dude is like crazy, like bulky, strong, like. But you would think like he's just built like a running back. Like he's just extra big, bulky, strong. And of course, Wade, I always tell everybody, Wade looks like he should walk around with a straw broomstick in his mouth, just walk around with one of those. And that's just how Wade is. And then, of course, Garrett, his son. Of course, he's like most dads. They don't like to, praise their kids. He's a great corner, great kid. Eric, another kid that's a great football player, but if you never seen him run track and the hurdles, you're missing out on that. And, of course, Cannon is just – he's like a cannon when he's back there playing safety. When he comes downhill, he's going to make sure you know that he was there. If I was him, I probably would say boom every time I hit somebody, just like shot out of there like a cannon. But those are kids that are hard to replace, of course. So after we've talked about them a little bit, Coach, now I'm going to give you a little bit. We're going to fast forward a little bit to this season, give you an opportunity to talk about some of the kids that you're looking forward to that's going to be on this team this year.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, one of the biggest things is we do have our quarterback back, and Wyatt did a great job for us. Big shoes to fill coming in after Lando threw for so many yards and led us, to deep run in the playoffs. And Wyatt comes in and essentially, we didn't miss a beat. We just kept rolling. He was able to throw for 3,600 yards. 45 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, and then he's a good runner too. Like, we didn't run him a lot this year, but he's a good physical running back as well. And having him back is huge because our offense can kind of go ahead and keep rolling with what we're doing. And he did a great job, and looking forward to see what he can do.
I remember this time last year we asked that question. How do you replace Orlando? And I will say, Wyatt, I'm going to say it on the show, man. I'm a believer. You made me believe. If anybody else that knows the game of football and love football, those are not shoes that you have to fill anymore. I feel like you filled those shoes and you're adding concrete to them because you're cementing your way into. After you graduate this year, that's going to be a question that they're going to ask. What are we going to do now that Wyatt's gone? He's a heck of a football player. He's done a great job. So I think your legacy is speaking volumes, and you're going down that path for yourself now, and you're building. And he's a good leader. That's one thing I've noticed watching him. He doesn't do a whole bunch of jawing and jacking, but he leads by example. So
he is a good leader.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting. I'll let you get back to it.
That's all right.
Yes, sir.
It's nice whenever other people notice your kids and for what they are. And I appreciate that, and he deserves every bit of that.
Yes, sir.
Will Treadway, he was a defensive newcomer of the year of the district. He was a sophomore. He's going to be a junior now, and playing some offensive line as well as defensive line for us, and looking forward to him having a big year. Luis Balderrama, he's a very good football player for us. He could have been our starting running back all year. But, with Luke there, Luke was really good. So, he got backup reps. And then when Luke got hurt, Luis jumped in there and continued to roll. He rushed for 985 yards. So, he's nearly a 1,000-yard rusher being a backup running back most of the year. And he plays outside linebacker for us too and does a really good job. Lucas Cornish, defensive end for us, an H-back. He's a tough, strong, physical. He loves the game. He loves to put people in the dirt. And, there's not a whole lot of remorse in his heart, and that's something that I enjoy watching. Case Dennis, was another sophomore that stepped up and played outside receiver for us and some safety, and did a really good job. Jokesen Delgado, another sophomore that played offensive line and center for us, and looking forward to him growing. He squatted 500 pounds this off season, and really has gotten strong. Lachlan Pardue, also played safety and slot receiver for us as a sophomore. So, quite a few guys coming back that got some meaningful reps. Now it's just time to, it's not Cannon's not there, Luke's not there. It's time for these guys to step up and command our defense or our offense and take charge and lead out on the field. Sometimes it's nice to be able to play when you don't have to be the dude.
Yeah.
But now it's time for these guys to step up and go be the guy, not the guy that plays with the guy.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's where I was headed. You just finished year 4, so these guys that are graduating were freshmen when you got there. And so you've seen them through, and now that the guys that are coming up were your 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, and like you said, now it's their turn. So how is that? Like you said, it's my time. I can't count on Cannon, or I can't count on Lando, or I can't count on Luke or Wade to get the job done. Now it's my time. How is the building block been since now that you're there to get to the point of, hey, it's my time and I'm ready for it?
Yeah, I think it's about the culture that we're trying to build in our off-season program and really just how we do things. Something we talk about is being able to play the game fearless. And that comes from knowing I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I've been at summer workouts at 7 o'clock in the morning. I show up at 6:30 lifts during the season. I don't skip reps. I'm always, where I'm supposed to be. I communicate. So when I step on the field, I don't have to worry, have I done enough? I can just step out there and play, and whatever I do is enough because I'm ready. And everybody can run out of the tunnel excited, fearless, but in the fourth quarter when you're down 2 scores and you don't know how you're going to do it, that you can't make them have that. They have to earn that on a daily basis, and that's why we're constantly asking kids to do what we're asking them to do, and that's the plan.
Yeah. So you touched on it briefly. We hear all the time about how important summer workouts are. That's where it starts, like that. Everything. What's your summer attendance been like? And I mean, are you impressed with it, or is it something that you feel like is working properly?
Yeah, it's been good. We've had, a lot of our guys that are there, our younger kids are buying in. We're out in rural Texas, so we have a lot of guys that work. I want everybody to be there every day. I want kids to have a summer. Kind of how we approach it is, if you're in town, you need to be there. If you're going on vacation or your mom wants to go see grandma, go. Don't not be a kid for a vacation or go see family or do something with your family because of this. But if you're in town, you need to be up there working out. I break it down every year. There's, however many hours in the summer, however many days, and it really comes down to 24 workouts that we get. We do a 6-week workout period. We give them off the week of 4th of July. So we're talking about 24 workouts. That's all you get. Don't tell me you're committed to being the best football player you can be if you show up 6 times. Wherever you're at, that's where your commitment is. And if it's work, some people have to work. Mm-hmm. So we try not to shame them or make them feel bad if they can't be there. But we want them to be there, and we think every kid ought to be there 18 times. That gives them a week to go on a vacation and then maybe miss 2 days for something else. But really we're talking about 2 hours and 2.5 hours a day, 4 days a week. It's not that big of a commitment whenever you look at the whole scope of how long the summer is, and if we could be better, I'll promise you that. But I'm going to say that until we're 100%.
Yeah. So I noticed we shared it on our thing. I want to say it was probably in May. I don't know how long you guys have been doing it, but y'all had shared, and that's one thing I love about shameless plug the Jacksboro community. When it comes to support, promoting, preparation, making sure everybody's included, second to nobody. I'll say it live. I think you're one of the top schools in this area. I'm always countlessly seeing stuff, whether it's the Jacksboro quarterback. I be trying to keep up. I'm like, but it's just so many people sharing stuff. It's amazing because it makes your kids feel special, makes them want to go out and do their best. But somebody shared something that y'all had it's probably like nine or 10 young men that had made it. I think y'all would do like early morning workouts or something. And I was like, man, that's they're already in the grind. They're already preparing for the next, getting there. And it's not easy during the school year to get up and continuously, especially when it's not, you have to be here. It's one of those things that I want to be here. So shout out to those players that made it. I think they was 100%. Those kids were 100%, didn't miss any of those workouts. So shout out to those kids.
So we lift at 6:30 Monday and Thursday morning. And throughout the off season, I don't know how many days there are from when we start, and usually it's when we get back from Christmas. But from January to May, whatever, we're lifting every Monday and Thursday morning. And for the kids that showed up every day, we want to recognize them. You know, that is a big commitment. You know, because life happens. But if you don't miss a one of those, you're committed.
For sure.
All right, so Coach, you touched on last year. So moving forward to this year, let's talk about your non-district schedule.
Okay. Yeah, so it was good this year. I think it got us ready for the district race. I think it's going to be even tougher this year. You know, we start off with 2 really good scrimmages. You know, I didn't know Munster was going to go win the whole thing whenever we scrimmaged them, but it was a pretty tough scrimmage. And, you know, I come out of that thing thinking, dadgum, I thought, you know, I was hoping we'd whoop up on them a little bit, but, you know, they had a pretty good year. They were a pretty good team. Toller is going to be a good scrimmage for us as well. And then, you know, we open up with Eagle Mountain Saginaw. We were able to beat them last year at their place. That facility over there is unbelievable.
Like a college stadium.
It's really nice. But Coach Mullins is a good coach. He's got a great staff over there, and they're going to be way improved. There's just no way around it. You know, they're going to be 4A Division II, or I don't know what they are, but you know, they're going to have, you know, probably nearly 1,000 kids, I bet, when they start this year. But it's going to be a tough one, but we look forward to it, and you know, that's how we want to start. And then we roll into Boyd. You know, not really sure what's going to happen over there. They got a new coach, and I've got several teams on our schedule that have new coaches this year. So Boyd, Peaster. Yeah, we beat Peaster last year, and next thing you know, they go on and rip off 9 wins and won a playoff game, I think, and had a great year. So, you know, they're going to be a lot better. I think they got a lot of kids coming back, you know, and then go into Jim Ned, which, you know, they've been really good for the past several years. They get to come to us. Luckily this year we don't have to drive all the way out there, but another tough game from a really good football team. And then we wrap up our district with Burke Burnett.
All right, and then you go right into your district games.
That's it.
Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, it's you know, we I look forward to the challenge again this year. I think it's going to be just as good and just as challenging as it was last year. Start off with City View. They got us this year in overtime. You know, those overtime games are way more fun when you win them, and everybody remembers you that way. But that's not how it always works. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that I felt like they played better than we did in that game. And look forward to the challenge. I think they're going to be really, really good again. And you know, it's going to be a tough matchup. Another school with a new coach.
I think y'all are missing a key part in that game too, right?
No, we had everybody.
Luke was not playing?
Luke did play.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Yeah.
I think the following week at
He
Millsap.
got hurt at Millsap.
Okay.
I think we lost Pizzana maybe in that game. I don't remember what game Eric got hurt at.
I just remember I went to one of the games.
We did
and Luke
lose
was
Eric in that game.
on the sideline. I thought that was the one we all went to.
No, we don't have any excuses for that game that I can think of. We just got beat.
No, they played good.
Then we go to Millsap comes to us. You know, Jake does a great job down there. Coach Johnson, I think he's a great coach, and look forward to the challenge. Then Henrietta, we'll be at Henrietta. Valley View, another school with a new head coach, and then finish it up with Holiday.
Always a classic.
Tough district, I think.
I think it's one of the toughest districts, like you mentioned before, in all the sports.
Yeah.
Or, I think we just talked to Coach Jones, and he was mentioning how it was just, all the sports, girls sports, boys sports, track, baseball, softball, everything. And so I've always been a big fan of that district.
I think
know
the,
that
I
there's
think
a
the
lot of
district
people involved.
is good, but what makes the district good is the sportsmanship from the players. They all know each other. They gonna jaw jack with each other, but in the end, once you're out, they're pulling harder than ever for each other to. If we couldn't do it, it's one of those things. Hey, we want the teams that are in our district to go get it done. Another thing that I've noticed in this district, especially in football, I watch and pay attention to a lot of things, is the brotherhood amongst the coaches. I've watched coaches come up, pray for each other, just the different things of the brotherhood, and that when you have districts and the coaches and the leadership like that, I think it speaks volumes, and then it translates to those players, which is another good thing. One more thing I'm gonna say. This is to everybody in the 9-4 area. Jacksboro is the most prepared coaching staff. Man, nobody else come to these coaches interviews with papers. This preparation.
No, I was gonna actually touch on that as you mentioned the coaches.
I feel like this is like college level type stuff.
He did the same thing last year.
Yeah,
remember?
cheat sheets, man. We got to give Coach Hubble his credit, man. Give him a raise, Jacksboro.
Look at that.
Give him a raise.
No, but we talk about in here we talked about the returning players. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, but all the time, the coaches are just as important. Do you have any new coaching coming in this year, losing or gaining anybody?
Absolutely. I've lost my defensive coordinator, Coach Valenzuela, that I've worked with, since 2005. He's moving on, and I wish him and his family all the best. Lost a corners coach, a young guy that was getting out of coaching and going into the medical field a little bit. And Coach McElroy is finishing off his retirement and moving that direction to where he can go watch his boys in college. But feel like I've got some really good ones. Hired a hometown boy that graduated a few years behind me, but Randy Coleman's going to come in and coach corners. He's had coached at Jacksboro in the past and had been at had several stops at Peaster, Brock, and Millsap last year. And then also hired Scotty Williams. He is coming in from he was out at Queen City this last year, out in deep East Texas, but had spent several years at Burleson with Coach McElroy and at Peaster also. So, still feel like we got a great staff, and look forward to watching us grow and develop as a staff.
So this is year 5 for you in your own hometown. Like you said, a graduate of Jacksboro, played on. Is it the same field? I know. No. Okay, so all right. But talk about how is it being the head coach of your own hometown? Something you probably dreamed of, maybe.
Yeah, there was a time, probably, I don't know, mid 2000s where I really wanted to come back and thought that would be, something pretty neat. And then later on, I didn't think I would ever come back. But yeah, I love Jacksboro. It's always been a special place. When you're gone somewhere for 30 years, it's really not the same place. Parts of it is, there are aspects that are the same, but it's really different. It's not like I've lived there my whole life, and and I know everybody. Things change, people change, people move off, new people come in. So it's not like I've been here my whole life, but it is still Jacksboro. It is still, the heart of it is still the same, and it's been a blessing. It's been good.
Is Miss Hubble? Is she from Jacksboro?
She is not. She is from Santo, Texas.
Okay.
Big city.
I was going to say she might have had a little. If she was from Jacksboro, she might have had a little say in coming back, but I guess
she
not.
said Santo, boy. Blink, you missed that city. Small.
I had a question. Go ahead and hit him with your question. I know you got to leave in just a second.
How you know I wanted to ask? Me and Coach Hubble might have already talked about this. So
I just know you.
he just jealous. Coach Hubble already made it clear he's not a big food person. So I will ask you.
I'm not a big food person.
Yeah, like on the road, you don't have like a.
Oh, I got
like you don't get worked up in like those rituals. I got to eat this type of thing. You're not one of those people. So I do want to talk about one place. No, two places I think I want to talk about in Jacksboro. The burger place that everybody has to come to.
Herd's Hamburgers.
And it's always when I go.
And I miss it every time I'm in
I went last time.
When I'm driving through, nobody's there. When I really want to eat it, it's packed out the door. So what's your favorite thing to eat at Herd's? We're gonna give them a shameless plug.
I'm gonna get a double. And it's kind of funny.
It's hard to eat that thing.
When I was a kid, I was a plain guy, mayonnaise plain.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got a little older, I like all the vegetables, and I ate mustard and everything. And when I first went back one time, I ordered double with everything on it, mustard. And it wasn't worth a darn because that wasn't what I remembered the hamburger like. So I still order that hamburger like I did when I was a little kid.
Yeah, the double. And then there's another place we ate there. So I gotta drive. Like I gotta drive you there because I don't know. I forget the name of it. So it's a little bit past Herd. You come like downtown. It's like they sell like catfish.
The frogs or whatever.
I know, it's kind of like they sell kind of a little bit of everything.
It's on the left-hand side, right?
Yeah.
It's like a
JR's
cafe.
Chop House.
Oh man.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
So, shout out to JR. Y'all are doing great things in Jacksboro. I couldn't even focus at the football game. I was so full. Literally, it's good.
I remember what I was going to say now. We're talking about Jacksboro.
No, we got on the right subject. You want to get off subject.
So we're talking about
jealous?
Jacksboro.
You're
the
jealous?
community of Jacksboro, as you know, is probably, as O mentioned earlier, is one of the most supportive communities. But one thing I like that you told us about last year is that you do a, quarterback club thing where you meet with the people and you talk to them and stuff like that. Like, how do you feel like, I don't know, I just think that that's a really cool thing that you do, if you want to touch on that again.
Yeah, so I think something that's very important in building a program is, I don't want it to be us, or those coaches or the football. I want it's our community. Mm-hmm. It's our football team. It's our school. And, I think the more you can give people ownership or a buy-in or an insight to what is going on, I think it's easier for people to buy in. I can only imagine, having a son go through the program. I can only imagine what it would be like to turn my kid completely over to a bunch of guys with no input, no say, and just hope everything's great. Because when you don't know, it's hard to buy in, I think. Now, if you're winning and beating everybody every game, it's hard to not buy in.
Yeah, we're good.
But when there's ups and downs, the more people know, I think the better. So my intention with the quarterback club was to have a way to let people know, here's what we're trying to do. Here's the message that is going to the kids. Here's what we're trying to do with our game plan. Here's the game. Let's watch it. Let's see where we failed, where we did good, where we executed, where we didn't execute. And I just think when people have that insight, it's easier for them to go, this is where we need to all be buying into. And then if some guy's up in the stands running his mouth about, how stupid we are, hopefully somebody stands up and says, those guys aren't stupid. Here's why, and they know. But I've tried to do it at a couple of places, but this has been the best it's been. And I did it at Breckenridge too. I didn't do it when I went to Canton, but I think it's good.
Yeah, and what's your attendance like on that? I mean, do you got?
It fluctuates. We meet Friday morning at 6:30.
There you go.
It's like a town hall meeting, right?
So it's hard for a lot of people to get there. It's really dads and grandparents and
old Jacksboro
people
football.
who really love. You got to really love it to get up at 6. Be there at 6:30. But
if you want a voice, 6:30.
But we got coffee, and we got breakfast and.
I'll be there.
I bring another coach, and we go over the previous game. We go over game plan, and if anybody's got a question, they're welcome to ask it.
So it's pretty cool. This time last year, whenever you're on here, you talked about the Quarterbacks Club. Good friend of mine, Justin at Our Park. He's not a coach; he's a dad. That Quarterbacks Club thing that you talked about, it stuck with him. So they've actually started a Quarterbacks Club at Our Park. They started it last year. They're getting it going. But your idea inspired some people, Coach. Man, it's great. I think
it's the first time I ever heard anything like it, and I was like, "That's brilliant."
Back in the day, they used to all do it. Like,
especially in small
the
towns.
70s and 80s.
I remember watching
the
old football movie. What was their old football movie where he did that? He met up with the town's people.
He does make it.
Yeah.
I remember. I remember that.
It was at a food place.
Yeah, it was.
Good food too.
All right, so next question.
So, Coach, I guess my next question for you, probably my last question for you. When coaching, I have to ask this question because his lovely wife is here with him today. How many countless hours do you have to put into it and I think a lot of people don't take this into consideration, the hours that you put in to not only be there for, of course, you had your children that you were coaching, but other people's kids and the time that you take away from your wife and being there, being able to do the things that, husband and wife do, go out, do those type of things. How appreciative are you? Shameless plug, this coach, you could get this right, brownie points for you. How appreciative are you to be able to have somebody that stands, you've been doing this for 28 years now, you said, right? To stand along you 28 years and allow you to coach at the ability that you coach.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. I think it takes a special woman, husband, if it's a different sport. But it really is a team. My wife, Cheryl, she is a big part of me. Like she makes me better. We also do a little thing called, the Little Tigers, where, is that what it's called, Little Tigers or Junior Tigers? Junior Tigers. And basically, just like that quarterback club, where we bring in older people, and parents and people in the community, this is a way where we bring in little kids. I can remember playing football in the end zone at Tiger Stadium, and getting knocked out and playing. I wanted to be a football player. Yeah. And that's what we want kids to grow up doing. So we'll have 2 or 3 events where after practice, Cheryl will bring pizza or some type of food, and each kid will have a varsity football player, and they'll have their jersey or a T-shirt with their name on the back of it, and they'll hang out. They'll play catch. They'll run around on the football field, and then they get to run through the tunnel a couple of times a year. But it's just a way to bring in kids, and my wife runs that, and she sets it up for every sport at our school. And, it is a calling, I think. I tell people all the time, if all I did was teach kids how to play football, I couldn't justify what I couldn't. I don't know that I could live with it. But it is something that I have a strong belief in, that I get to use football to teach kids how to be good, men, and hopefully good Christian men, and that they get to see what it really means to be a man. And my wife is a huge part of that, because I couldn't do that if I was always worried about not being home or worried. You just can't do the job right that way, and it's hard enough anyway. When you do have a supported wife, because you always do feel like you're either letting somebody down. You're either letting your people at home down, or you're letting the team down. And I've been blessed to have a wife that supports me and helps me do this job as good as I can. And it's God's blessed me with that.
So what it sounds like, viewers, it sounds like when they're winning, shout out to Miss Hubble. And when they're losing, we can blame Coach Hubble on that. That's right. No, but it's good. It's a good testament of something that Coach said. He said this last year, and it made me think a lot, which is true. Football is a sport that's more than about just football. You are trying to teach men how to be men. not just men, but hopefully, like you said, God-fearing men. So shout out to Coach Hubble on that, and shout out Mrs. Hubble for being a good helpmate, because it does take a special individual to do that. Sometimes when we do these coaches previews, we don't always give the wives the credit. And I said this year, my wife kind of had got on to me, but no, I was playing. I said this year we want to give some credit to the wives for sure for their support. And 28 years is a long time. Not only just being married to somebody, but 28 years being married to a coach you endure a lot because, she's the one sitting in the stands. Sometimes you get some mouthy parents, and I know sometimes she wants to, hey, but she has to bite her tongue. She might not bite her tongue. I probably wouldn't bite my tongue, but at the end of the day, shout out to Miss Hubble. I wanted to make sure I said that before today ended. We want to give her credit because she did come to the preview today to keep Coach Hubble in line, make sure he makes his appointments. So we appreciate Miss Hubble making sure he made his appointment on time.
So as you mentioned, you were just talking about how big family is, and at the start of it, you talked about your twins. They'll be leaving the nest. How is it going to be now not being able or not having your son on the sideline this year?
It's going to be awful. No, it's going to be different. He's been on the sideline since he was a little bitty kid, and before that, we got pictures of him and Cannon leaning on the rail as, a 4-year-old. But, nothing stays the same. That's how life is. It's been hard, thinking about not being around my boys as much, but I'm really proud of the young men that they are. And, that's what you raise them to be as a man. So at some point, it's time to let them go be a man. And it's really not about me. It's about them. And it'll be different. But, I think it's good at some point, I've had a lot of coaches on my staff who have had boys in our program. And, I think it'll be good for our program for those coaches to, focus on everybody, because I'm not gonna pretend like my kids don't require more of my attention, but because that's just life, that they're my kids, and I'm not gonna apologize for that. But it'll be different, but it'll be good.
Yeah, Miss Hubble may be able to watch the games a little more at ease because she doesn't have to worry about Garrett getting hitting over the middle. Or
she
maybe
won't be ready to puke.
There you go. And then as you talk about, just you and how difficult it's going to be to not have him there because, like you said, we were all that little kid playing football in the back of the end zone waiting for our turn. So, I hope to be able to do that with my boys at one point. So I may have to call you and how is it going to be now not being able to have him there, but to not have to worry about the talks at home, and that's just everybody's kid instead of my kid.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to be a coach's kid because we all know what our kid's very best is. And as parents, that's what we expect all the time. We expect their best. I always say parents think their kid is the best they ever did it. That's what they are. And as a coach, it's the same way, except I'm there to demand it every single time. And that's a lot of pressure on a kid to have somebody. I can't imagine how much fun I would have had as a player if someone was constantly riding me to be my very best. And I think it's tough to be a coach's kid because that microscope is on you all the time, and sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes it's great, but it's a different animal for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned, or we all know your kids are not going to be on the sideline this year in a capacity of a player-coach relationship. Maybe that gives you a little more relaxation, and we see some kind of special, even more special work out of you this year. But before we get off and all that, I just have two more little questions. What are the expectations for you as the head coach for the Jacksboro Tigers this year?
Yeah, it's really the same every year. I want our football team to become the best that it can become. We're not going to be last year's team. We're going to be different. We're not the team before. We're not next year's team. This team is can only do what this team can do. And I try to really look at what we can do, and it's player by player, but how close can we get to what our best looks like? And I think as long as you keep that into perspective, you can enjoy the game a lot more and enjoy seasons a lot more, because you're not going to go 13-1 every year. You're not going to win a state championship every year. It'd be nice if you could.
Yeah.
But those places are very rare. So really, it's about getting better every week. To me, that's the biggest thing. Can we get better every week? Can we be playing really good football when we get to the district race? And can we put ourselves into position to get in the playoffs and go make a deep run? And don't lose games to teams you should beat, and sneak up on a few that are better than you and find a way to beat them. And as long as our kids are competing and fighting and doing things that it takes to win, I think the season will work itself out. And I think we've got some expectations on us, but that's good. I want expectations, and I want our kids to want things to be expected of them, and to fight to be able to go meet them and exceed them, and it really become our expectations, not what anybody else puts on us.
Yeah, very good. And then I can't remember your answer from last year, but is there a game on your schedule this year that you have circled?
Absolutely not.
No.
Every game is its own game. I think the moment you do that, you rob yourself of the joy and the journey. You can only play one game. You can, and we talk to our kids about it by plays. I can only play this play, and we want kids to play the game like that play is the only thing I get. And really, that's how life is, and that's what I love about football. Is there's so many. Whatever you want to call it, but ways that it resembles life. I can't live tomorrow. All I can do is live today, and that's how we want to approach every football game, and ultimately every practice, really, because this practice, not sit around and wait till district starts or the playoffs, or can't wait till the season starts. We want to win football games in February, and then in August, when we start practice, and then ultimately, just become the best we can be.
Very good, very good. And I just wanted to say about what you said earlier about being fearless, coming onto the football field and playing fearless. The way you broke it down was like really good. Like it just, I don't know, it kind of resonated with me, and just being able to say it the way you said it, and to be able to get your players that kind of mentality, like I think that's awesome. So I'll probably remember that for a long time. But other than that, I think we'll wrap this thing up. We appreciate you coming all the way to the studio here and blessing us with your coaching knowledge and your answers for us. We wish you all the best of luck this year for Jacksboro, the Tigers, and not only football, but every sport.
Thank you.
You guys
for all
have a
that y'all
ton
do.
of athletes.
Thank you for all that y'all do to promote our kids. I think it's excellent. We live in that world today where people want to be promoted, and I think it's great. I appreciate y'all, all you do to get our kids, and it's nice whenever you pull up that app or your phone, and you look on Facebook and you see Jacksboro, in a list of something. I think it's good for our community. I think it makes people stay, a little bit of a fire lit all year long, and I just appreciate you guys.
Well, we appreciate the kind words, and like I said, we love Jacksboro sports because a lot of good athletes out there, and we wish you all the best of luck this year. And hope you take the missus out to somewhere nice to eat before you head home and don't have to eat Jacksboro food.
I'm going to
again.
let her choose.
There you go. Even better. All right, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very
Have a good
much.
night.
Thank you.